All right, what's going on? Back with another podcast. We're going over UFC 317, Oliveira versus Topuria. And then we got a couple other things we want to go over: the Jake Paul versus Cesar Chavez, Julio Cesar Chavez, and Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. But to start, we'll go for
Yes, sir.
UFC because I think we both of us saw a good amount of these fights. Um, I didn't catch these early prelims. Did you catch any of those?
No, actually, no. I just saw. I rewatched the main event. That's all I did. I didn't watch any of the prelims.
Oh, it's all good. I saw most of them. I didn't see these early ones. I think I started watching around Terrence McKinney. McKinney is like a hit or miss. Like he either gets an early finish or he gets finished early. So this fight he got the submission in like 55 seconds, which was pretty crazy. And then we saw the return of Tracy Cortez, a fan favorite, versus Viviana
Oh yeah,
Ruggiero.
I didn't watch that one, but she's from here. She represented Phoenix.
Yeah, and she's like, so apparently I didn't know this, but apparently she's been out for like a year because she had like some big ass tumors in her stomach, which she didn't really tell anyone. But I was listening to like an interview with Ariel Hawani, and apparently she had these. Her it like runs in her family, like her little brother or one of her brothers. I don't know if it was younger or older, but one of her brothers died when she was like a kid from cancer, which was sad to hear. But so yeah, she had these tumors in her stomach, and then they checked them out and they said they're non-cancerous, but they removed them anyways, and so she was like pretty sick and uh, down bad for like a whole year because I don't think she's fought since last year. But but yeah, she said she's good and healthy and actually like feels way better than ever. So I think she's gonna try to start her run back into the rankings. That was a good win over Arugio. Not a whole lot happened. It was mostly just wrestling, decent striking exchanges, but really nothing crazy. So we'll just move on from that fight. Wishing Tracy the best. We have
Okay.
Delgado versus Emil. I don't really know those guys, but I think wow, it was a fast KO, 26 seconds. Interesting. Oh man, this one was bad. So we had Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. Hermanson's known for his kind of all around game. Good striker, very good grappler, and then Gregory Rodriguez is kind of known for his knockout power. And we saw Jack Hermanson doing pretty good on the feet, and then all of a sudden it was just like one or two punches, and Hermanson was just out like a light. Like he was just, they said he was out for like several minutes and like wasn't getting up. So he went straight to the hospital afterwards. But great job to Gregory Rodriguez. Sucks to see Jack get put out like that, but that was a really crazy fun fight, crazy finish as well. Now I think we're on to the main card here. Do you know who Peyton Talbot is?
Yeah, yeah. That's the first. This was the first one that I rewatched. He lost his last fight, right? He was like a up and coming prodigy guy, but he
Yeah,
lost his last.
yeah, he lost to Raoni Barcelos, I believe, and Talbot was like a heavy favorite. Like he's been a heavy favorite in a lot of his fights, and that especially that last fight, he was a heavy favorite, and he got upset badly. And so this was kind of his like comeback fight. Both guys, they're up and comers, big prospects, and they were both actually supposed to fight a different guy, and neither of them knew they were supposed to fight or who they were gonna fight until like 2 weeks before the card. And eventually, the
Mhm.
UFC's like, "F it, you guys fight each other," because they just couldn't get the fights worked out. Like at one point, they were both supposed to fight the same exact guy, and they were like, "What's going on?" And then eventually, the UFC's like, "Yeah, let's just have them fight each other." So this was a good comeback fight for Talbot because Felipe Lima is a beast. I think it was. It says Talbot had no takedowns, but if I remember correctly, I thought Talbot was controlling him on the ground, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain Talbot was controlling this fight and was able to get some decent control time, which I'm kind of confused about these stats. But anyways, he was actually the underdog in this fight, so I actually bet on Talbot, and it was a unanimous decision win for Talbot. I think in his last fight he underestimated his opponent, and that's something he said in recent interviews. He's like, yeah, like just because a fighter has an L on their record doesn't mean anything. Obviously, because he has an L on his record now, and I think he kind of was just like, oh, like underestimating anybody that wasn't undefeated or whatever. So interesting to see what they do with him next. All right, we got Beneil Dariush versus Hanato Moicano. What do you think about these guys?
Um, they're kind of not to be disrespectful, but they're pretty like mid, you know. But they're good like little gatekeepers for up and coming prodigies, I guess, or contenders. But this was a good gatekeeper versus gatekeeper type of match.
Yeah, for sure. These guys were actually supposed to fight like several months ago. I don't know if you knew that, but uh,
Uh-uh.
it was on the Islam versus Sarukian fight. Sarukian pulls out, and so you got Dariush and Hanato both on the same card, and they called up Hanato to fight Islam because Sarukian couldn't fight, and then Benil kind of just got screwed over and didn't get a fight. So they actually
Oh, that's one. That's okay.
yeah, so they rebooked this fight, and interestingly enough, Dariush actually got the win, which I was surprised by because I didn't count Dariush out, but Hanato, his last couple, besides the Islam fight, his last couple fights he's looked pretty dang good. Striking's improved, always a good grappler. So I really didn't see where Benil would win this fight. But I think what ended up happening was so Moicano hurt Dariush in the first round, and then I think after the second round, or even during the second round, I think Moicano had like an adrenaline dump because I think he hurts him early, and then kind of just like that that adrenaline rush kind of ran out, and I think he just gassed out because he did not look the same in rounds 2 and 3, and Dariush just took over completely. So that surprised me, but Dariush is always game. He's super experienced, so I wasn't really surprised that he won. It was just like the one sidedness after that first round that kind of surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go. Ooh, this Roy Van fight was
This one
crazy.
was getting exciting.
So apparently they broke like several records, like most punches thrown in a fight at flyweight, most punches landed, like bunch of records they broke, and they both got the performance of the night. So or the fight of the night. So that was sick. Um, so going into this fight, Royval was supposed to fight Manao Cop, and I think like 3 weeks before the fight, Cop like hurt himself or whatever, and then pulls out. Or not even 3 weeks. I think like 2 weeks or something, and then because Joshua Van had fought 3 weeks ago. Oh wait, yeah, it was 3 weeks ago. So Joshua Van fought 3 weeks ago, and then apparently the very next day, the UFC calls Van and is like, "We need a fight. We need someone to fight Royval," and Van just said yes immediately. So that's
That's
pretty
savage.
crazy. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's just absurd to fight one day and the next day accept a fight in 3 weeks on a pay per view card against the number one contender. That's like you. That's like some gangster stuff. Like that does not happen, and it usually doesn't end well when that's the case as well.
I mean, to his benefit though, he did have that training camp, so he was kind of still in shape. So I guess that might have helped him out. 'Cause
Oh
he
yeah,
did not look tired at all. He was like fucking. He had cardio to the end.
yeah, 100%. And like yeah, so I get that point, but then I was like thinking. The more I thought about this, so before my initial thoughts were I thought Van would win, and then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I mean that's got to take so much out of a fighter to train for like who knows how long he trained before the fight before this one, probably like 6 to 8 weeks, and then fights a almost a 3 round fight, and then no rest the very next day, accepts another fight and has to go right back into a training camp. Like I don't think he was injured, so like that's really lucky for him. But I was thinking like maybe he's got some lingering injuries he already had from the last camp. maybe his body's not like fully healed and recovered, because like I feel like would take a good week or two to fully recover just from like a training camp, like let alone a fight.
Yeah,
So I was like
dude.
surprised to see how fresh.
Even just from checking kicks in a real fight, that like you can need a few
Yeah,
days to recover your chance from that.
that's what I'm saying. Like I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, there's just no way he could be fighting at like close to 100%. Like I thought he would be coming in at like 70, 80%, and then the bell rings and I see him. I'm like, oh shit, he looks close to 100%. I was like, all right. I guess he is 23, so he recovers a lot faster than someone who's like 28, 30 years old, who's got like many fights under their belt. So that was one thing I guess he had going for him. But yeah, Royval's
What you
tough,
think about
man.
yeah? What you think about their like technical and tactical performances?
So the
I mean,
so before the fight, I thought Royval would be able to stick and move and evade most of Van's, a lot, not most of them, but a good amount of Van's strikes, and um, that was just not the case. Van was landing so many heavy shots, and I also thought like the way that Van's gonna win is he has to hurt Royval, which was the case. He did hurt him several times, but he didn't even really need to hurt him. He was just outpointing him too at that point. So I was like really surprised at uh, how easily Van was able to land. I thought there was a huge strategic miscalculation by Royval, because Royval was trying to box with Van when he should be kicking, leg kicking, sticking and moving. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
don't. He was throwing like zero kicks, and I was getting really confused by that, to be honest. Like he got
yeah,
out
yeah.
leg kicked by Van, and Van's a boxer. Like that says a lot to me.
Yeah, I think he just thought that because he had like really well, he had longer limbs than Van that he was gonna be able to eventually, catch him coming in or something. But Van was just catching him in between shots like the whole
Yeah,
night.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, like, man, the difference in power too was huge. Like, I think Van dropped him a couple times, and I don't know how Roy Val was hitting those shots, but he kept getting no like a dog. He's game.
And Van wasn't even like he wasn't even loading up. He was just like letting them fly.
Yeah, kind of like Ilya.
Yeah, kind of like Ilya. But you
And
could you could definitely see like Ilya's just different. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, this was a good fight. Good for both guys. Like Royval didn't have to take this fight. He really doesn't do anything for him as a number one ranked guy to beat a number 12 ranked. Like that doesn't get him a title shot. But props to him for taking the fight. The UFC paid him his win money even though he lost. And then this is huge for Van, because Van was pretty much promised a title shot, which would probably be the only reason he should have taken this fight. But apparently he said that he wasn't really even like guaranteed anything. He just took the fight, so that's just dope.
So now that we're gonna come to this fight right there, before we go over the Pantoja fight, you
Oh
think
yeah.
that black what's his name? Cap or not
Oh
Cap?
wait, Manel Cop.
Yeah, yeah. You think he deserves a title shot or Van does?
Oh, 100% it's Van. Like not even a question. Because when you look at what he did, he stepped in, saved the company on 3 weeks' notice, and just beat the brakes off the number one contender, which makes Van the number one contender. So I I mean they brought him in against Pantoja to face off, so I'm pretty sure they've already settled with Van versus Pantoja for the next title bout, which is
Yeah.
sick.
Oh yeah, that's what I would prefer too.
Oh
Even though
yeah.
that other guy, he's good too, but yeah, when you go in 3 weeks notice, like you got to give it to that guy.
Yeah, and stylistically, to be honest, I'd rather see Manel Cop versus Van, just because it would be, it would be just like that Roy Ball fight. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get into Pantoja here versus Kai Car France. Um, man, Pantoja, he's pound for pound at this point. They've got him ranked way lower than he should be. He's ranked. Oh my goodness, the disrespect. He's ranked at number 9. And Pantosia's done nothing but pretty much dominate like everybody in that division besides maybe like a couple guys. I think that was like his
Yeah,
fifth title defense.
I think it was his fourth, but he's been looking better and better. Before he was a little on the I was on the fence with him, but definitely his last three performances they've caught my attention.
Yeah, that
Especially yeah, that after that Royval and Ursig fights, those were pretty good performances for me.
yeah. I mean, it's the way he's winning. Like he's like he has no weaknesses really. Like he can strike with any of them because Kai's one of the best strikers. Moreno's one of the best strikers. He's shown he can strike with them. Even if he's not winning, he knows how to hold his own. And then obviously his grappling is just elite. Like I was looking at these stats, Kai versus like Albazi and Askar Askarov, two crazy good wrestlers, and his takedown defense was like 80-90%. And Pantoja took him down pretty easily. Like they weren't even real takedowns. He was just grabbing him and then pulling him to the ground like it was nothing.
Yeah, just fucking man ragging them.
Yeah, and when you can do that, you can beat anybody in the division. Like if you can strike with anyone and control them on the ground, it's like Islam. It's like they have no real gaps. So he's, in my opinion, he should be ranked pound for pound, like at least top 4, in my opinion.
You think he looks significantly bigger than Kara France. You think he should stay in this division and get a few more defenses, or you think he should think about moving up?
Um, it's tough because he's not. Huh. I would say he's like perfect size for that division. I think if he moved up, he'd be slightly too small, especially against Marab. Like if you put Marab next to him, it's gonna look way different than him versus like any of the other flyweights. Just because Marab's so thick and like those guys, they're gonna have probably 10-15 pound weight advantage. So at that point, then the power is so much stronger, and then the grappling, like he might not be able to drag. He's probably not able to drag Marab to the ground like he was against Kai. So it's tough. Like if it was anybody but Marab, I would say yeah, I'd move up, try for that second belt. But against Marab, it's stylistically, it's a terrible fight for him.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think about him versus Van? How do you see that going?
I think I got man, it's tough because I didn't want to fade. I said I would never fade Van, and then the more I thought about that Roy Ball fight, I started to fade him. But and then again, I don't want to fade Van, but I just think for Pantoja dominates Van. I think he takes him to the ground. He might not get him down as easily like he did against Kai, but I think if he gets him down there, he'll ride him out for 1 or 2 rounds. On the feet, he'll evade most of the shots. He'll figure out what Royval did wrong. He'll throw more kicks, keep the distance, and not try to trade boxing shots with a good boxer like Van. I think he beats him in a similar fashion as he did against like Moreno, where it's like a big mix of grappling and striking to the point where he wins, at least 3 of those 5 rounds. I don't think either guy gets a finish. I'd be highly surprised if Van knocked him out, but I wouldn't really be surprised if Pantoja just found like a submission or something.
Van is like he's pretty relatively new to like grappling and stuff, right? From what
Yeah,
I've heard.
yeah. I mean, so I saw him fight. Who is it? Surya. I don't know how to say his name. This like really good wrestler out of like a different organization. And he stuffed like I don't even want to know. It was a crazy amount of takedowns. It was like 15 or something, and he stuffed like all of them almost. I think that guy got like 1 or 2. Let's see. this Ray Soraya guy got shot 21 times. He got 4 takedowns, And even out of those
For
four
sure.
takedowns, he only held him down like one of those four. Out of the other three, Van got up like almost right away. And so,
He has pretty good takedown defense then.
yeah, it was crazy. But then again, like that was the same thing with Kai, and then we saw how easily Pantoja took Kai down. So it's gonna be tough. Like if Van can't keep Pantoja at least off of him, like even like on the cage, Van has to get him off. If he can't get him off, it's gonna be a long night, and it's gonna be like probably not boring decision, but like one of those decisions where Pantoja kind of easily wins, and you don't get to see like a fight like Royval versus Van where they're just trading blows.
Right, he'll try to play it more safe, stay away from
Yeah,
the dangers. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. He's too smart, and he's got so many ways to win that fight. Versus Van really only has one way to win, which is to try to hurt Pantoja in 3 of those 5 rounds, because he's gonna have to land a lot of shots in order to win those rounds. Because he's tricky as frig. He could be losing a round and then win the last 3 minutes, and then he's so hard to beat. That's why I'm so biased towards Pantoja.
You can see it kind of like he did Usyk.
Yeah, exactly. All
So
right.
before we get into the results for this, we didn't talk about it or too much about your predictions. I mean, I think we both, if I'm assuming that we both picked Ilya to win,
Yeah.
but do you think it was going to be that easy, or I personally I thought it was going to be that easy. But what did you think leading up to the fight?
Dude, I tried so hard to think of like ways that Oliveira could win. And I was like, literally the only way I thought he could win was by some fluke like jump guillotine or some like some random sub where like it's just like a crazy transition. And even that for me was a reach. And so like it really didn't take much thought other than like the only thing I could think of was Ilya by knockout in the first or second round. Just
Yeah.
exactly what had happened. After seeing it against Volk, I didn't want to believe it. And then he did it against Max, and then I'm like, all right, well, I have no choice but to believe it now. And then he does it. He did Charles Oliveira the worst out of the three. Is bad.
Yeah, that was a nasty knockout.
Yeah.
What did you think? How did you think Ilya looked like? Of course he's like shorter. I wouldn't say undersized because he's a thick boy, but do you think like his strength looked up to par of the 155 division? Obviously, his power translated. But then again, Charles has not the best chin. But do you think overall he his style and his strengths they translated well to the new division?
Um. Yeah. So I was a big question for me too, and I thought that the size difference would play a factor in this fight. But when you have the technical skills, the speed and the power, and the ability to stay on your feet, like Oliveira really couldn't take him down. It like the size really doesn't play a factor. Like the way he knocked Charles out, like even like anybody else, like Charles has fought so many heavy-handed fighters, and none of them knocked him out like Topuria did. Like they all would drop Oliveira. Oliveira would be conscious. He'd be ready for them to jump on him. And yes, he'd get
Yeah.
finished, but he wouldn't get like put out. But Topuria, man, he put him out like lights out, lights out. And so I think he could fight. He could fight Islam, who's significantly bigger than Topuria, and I don't think the size really even factors in, just because of everything that Topuria has. Like it all counters any size difference, which is what we saw in this fight.
Yeah, he even though he might be smaller, but I think he's really strong and that compact frame it serves him.
Yeah,
And yeah, like you were saying, Charles has fought other heavy hitters in the division, but they just don't have like the finishing abilities of Ilya. Ilya, what he's really good at is like setting up a finish. Everybody
yeah,
else kind of just throws hell to the wind, and if they catch it, they catch it. They have like one setup in advance, but Ilya, he has like two, three setups in advance.
yeah, for sure. Like and his precision, like there's like a McGregor quote. It's like timing beats speed, precision beats power. and I think Ilya has like all four of those, which is like Thanos. Like he's got all of them, and it's crazy
Yeah.
because like his like yes he has crazy power. Yes, he's fast, but he's so precise and technical with his shots. The fact that he threw his 2-3 and both shots landed says like a lot because a lot of times you see guys will knock someone out with the straight right and then the three comes like way over, like way behind, and it just like completely misses. He literally landed both of them flush, and that's not easy to do, I feel like.
That's a good ass point because he was so fast that well, it was a very short 2-3, but it was so fast that he actually hit like the neck. You know, he was ahead of the of his face, but Ilya landed two punches while Charles was throwing a three. You know, and
Hmm.
he Charles finished the trajectory, but it was just so much slower than Ilya's two punches. You could
Right.
see right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different level of boxing for sure.
Yeah, man. Like, oh, he should be up there in pound for pound as well. I think I would throw him at like 3 or 4 as well. I mean, actually, I would throw him at definitely minimum three because he's got two belts now. So, um, man, him versus Islam. I wish Islam didn't move up because that would be the fight to make. But it's like that fight's impossible to make now because Ilya just got the belt and he's got all these guys waiting. They I don't know if you saw, but they showed three guys. Usually they'll show like one guy, you know, like in the crowd watching. They showed
Yeah,
Gaethje, Sarukian, and Patty. And I was like, oh god, Topuria got so many fights to do now. So it's like it's almost impossible to make that Islam fight at this point.
yeah. I feel like the Sarukian fight was like a good glance into the future of what a potential fight with Islam would be. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point. But sadly,
What do you?
that's like the one fight like the UFC probably won't make next just because Sarukian screwed them over in the Islam fight.
That's true. But in a perfect world, out of Gaethje, Paddy the Baddy, or Sarukian, who would you like to see Ilya fight?
In a
For
perfect world,
entertainment,
so
yeah,
in a
for
perfect
entertainment. Purposes.
yeah, so in a perfect world, the most fair fight to make would be Gaethje. In my world and the entertainment side, you have to make the Patty fight. The Patty fight has been something that they've I don't know if you remember, but they had like beef like years ago. Like when they both were kind of coming up, um, Ilya and Patty like cross paths. I think they're on the same card, and they were like about to start fighting like backstage. Like I can't remember exactly, but they like almost started fighting, and they weren't even in the same weight class. And so now they are in the same weight class. Topuria does not like Patty. Patty doesn't like Topuria. They're both on the rise. I think Patty's like undefeated in the UFC. I mean, it. There's no better time to make the Patty fight than now because you don't know what happens. Maybe Topuria fights someone, Patty fights someone, and something happens, and they don't end up fighting each other. Versus like Gaethje's always going to be there, Sarukian's always going to be there. But I think timing wise, that Patty fight has to happen next, even though I don't know if the UFC is going to do that.
Yeah, and then didn't Dana White say something about not wanting to give it to Gaethje because he was like mentioning a retirement or something like that along those lines?
Yeah, I did see that. So I mean, it was interesting that they chose Charles over Gaethje for this fight. To be honest, I think they probably should have given to Gaethje, but I think Charles did beat Gaethje anyway, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I did see Dana was not. Dana hates when fighters try to bargain and like try to play that card. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I get title shot next, or I'm not fighting. That type of mentality, which I
The
don't feel.
John Jones.
Yeah, which I feel like Gaethje has never done that. But at this point, I feel like Gaethje's already fought everyone. He's getting older. There's really not much else to fight for other than a title. So I get where Gaethje's coming from, but I feel like you should never really reveal that side. Like even though if you think that way, you should probably never say that shit because Dana you know how Dana is. Like, if you're gonna play games with Dana, he's gonna entertain that, and he's gonna be like, "You don't run the show, I do. So if you're gonna play that, then I'll just screw you over and not give you a fight," type shit.
Yeah. So before we move on, I want to ask you this: how do you see Topuria? Like, what are your predictions for each one of those three fights? If he fought Gaethje, how would it look? If he fought Sarukian, how would it look? Or if he fought Paddy, how would it look?
I think the most entertaining fight would be the Gaethje fight. The like stylistic wise, not like outside of the fight, but just in the
Right.
octagon, I think Gaethje versus Topuria would be the most exciting, at least for how long it goes. The most entertaining fight overall would be Paddy versus Topuria. The build-up would be crazy. It would be the most electric, probably the most viewed out of the three. And even in the octagon, I think it would be electric too. Um, but it would be slightly more of an MMA fight. I think Paddy would mix it up. Um, and then I think the toughest fight would be Sarukian because I think that fight would be very, um, the most wrestling based out of those three. I think that fight would be a lot of
Yep.
grappling, a lot of transitioning, a lot of you'd see a full MMA fight, which you usually see in Sarukian's fights. So I think that would be probably the toughest matchup for him. What do you think about those fights?
No, I 100% agree with you for sure. I think he would sleep Gaethje pretty fast, actually. Maybe Gaethje would make it to the second round, but Gaethje's like too unsophisticated. Uh, Paddy, I feel like he would sleep at Paddy too. And Sarukian, I think Sarukian would he would grapple his life for his life the whole fight. I feel like usually he's good about mixing it up a little bit, but I feel like he would definitely make it more of a grappling just to try to survive, you know?
Yeah, he'd go full Dagestani mode, just diving for
Yeah.
legs.
Yep.
I could definitely see that. But I think the Gaethje fight is interesting. I do think he would get the finish, but I think the one thing Gaethje has that would be like the one kind of kryptonite is that leg kick. Like he's got probably one of the nastiest leg kicks in the UFC. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like a fucking. It looks like he's just taking a baseball bat and just throwing it at people's legs.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So that would be something very interesting. Like I would want to see that and then see how Taporia reacts because once that front leg's gone, because obviously Taporia is so um, heavy on those boxing. Like if Gaethje compromises that leg, who knows what how much that takes out of Taporia's punch? Because obviously he can't sit on his punches after uh, 10, 15 leg kicks. But it just depends how many Gaethje's able to land without getting hit. Because Topuria could easily just come over the top and boom, lights out.
That's exactly what Charles was trying to do. He threw like three leg kicks right at the beginning, you know,
Yeah,
and
that's
then he
true.
got caught.
True, true.
And what did Topuria do? He took him down, or they got into like this wrestling um
Yeah,
exchange.
yeah. Man, it's exciting. It's like it's those fighters that you don't like. You try to figure out how this fight's gonna go and like whatever. It's like those are the fighters that are the most like eye catching or most exciting. It's like the same with like Islam. You're like, oh man, how's he gonna win this fight? How's this guy gonna beat him? Stuff like that. Versus like a guy like Charles, you kind of already know what's gonna happen. Like he's gonna try to,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, this is an interesting change of the champions. Like I actually like Ilya here more than Islam, to be honest.
It just brings more excitement, you know. Islam is good and all, don't get me wrong, but
You kind
Ilya
of already
has
you kind of already know what you're gonna get out of Islam, and you kind of do know
yeah.
from Ilya too. But there's also a lot of questions at the same time.
And he's just you might say, "Oh, he only boxes," you know, for if it was another fighter, but no, he is actually good as fuck at wrestling too, you know. And
Yeah,
he prior to the UFC, he showed a lot of his wrestling because he wasn't that nice of a striker, but now he can always revert back to it if he needs it, you know. If for whatever
exactly.
reason for whatever reason he's in danger, but he's never. Well, the one time he fought Jai Herbert, he got kicked and he went to the wrestling. He got control, he recovered, and then he came back with the nastiest knockout. That's the thing about Ilya is that he's just too well rounded.
Yeah, and then it's like these past few fights, or not even few, like several fights, he's just destroying these guys, and at that point, you kind of forget what he's good at, other than the knockouts. So that brings a lot of questions, and so that's what we get to see in these next few matchups is who can figure out the holes in his game, who can show us a different fight than what we've been seeing, which is just all first round knockouts, which makes it very interesting.
Right? Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, so that
And
covers the UFC 317. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
about the UFC, no, but while this fight was being built up, Dana White was also having a little side project on the boxing realm, which we can transition over to that side. What do you think about Dana White being involved with Turkey Al to make probably the biggest boxing event in the past few decades for sure, especially with the
Ugh.
Netflix deal?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't really know how this is gonna work out because they're saying like they obviously want to structure it somewhat like the UFC, where they're not just trying to make super fights, like weekend after weekend. They're actually trying to make like standard cards, then the title fights. But I guess they're just starting off with a freaking super mega fight of the century. Like this is crazy for the first fight that Dana's promoting. I mean, I was not expecting this.
Yeah, for sure. This we talked about Dana White's plan in boxing and how it would work when the top echelon boxers, they're established and they make their good money. It'd be there would have to be a lot of money involved invested into Dana's promotion to, get those fighters to come fight. I feel like how it might end up working is that those top fighters are already kind of free agents to begin with, and they might go and just do one fight with Dana and then return to like other promotions. I feel like that's what's going to be going on in boxing, at least with the top fighters. It's going to be a lot more free agents.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, like they just have like the headliner. They bring in the fighters, and then the rest of the fights that Dana actually makes, type thing.
And
Kind of
that way
like, yeah,
Dana can have yeah, Dana will have his cards that are solid, with the lower level guys, but like every once in a while he's going to have like with the help of Turkey Alashis, of course, he'll have like these super mega fights.
yeah. And apparently, like this Turkey guy was just gonna say F it and pay for the John Jones fight, low key. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Versus Aspinall or Ngannou?
Yeah, versus Aspinall. I heard because John was asking for this like a ridiculous amount of money, and I heard
Right.
allegedly they said yes, and they were gonna pay John Jones like like $30 million, like crazy payout, like probably one of the bigger ones in the UFC, and Turkey was gonna pay for it, but apparently John said no. Still,
Really? Well, didn't he just get into like a little traffic fiasco recently or something like that?
yeah, I did hear about that. Allegedly.
Hey, get out the streets, my man.
Seriously, dude, like, come on. I don't know what he's doing. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, that. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. This fight though, I don't know. I mean, just in this picture, like you would expect Canelo to look bigger, but Crawford he looks just as big, if not slightly bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I know Canelo, he's been campaigning at the 168 for a while and he even went up to 175, but I don't know why people I guess physiologically speaking, Crawford is you can see a little bit bigger than Canelo. Maybe he has a little bit smaller frame and Canelo is like more compact, thicker,
Yeah.
but I mean, doesn't Crawford walks he walks around. He said around that weight class, 160, 170. I could see him weighing even more.
Yeah, I think I heard in an interview someone asked what he weighed, and I think he said like like it wasn't even. I don't even think it was like 168 what they were fighting at, like something weird like that. Like it was like 164 or something like that. I was like, damn. He might have been
Uh,
lying, but who knows? I feel like he's probably lying.
Yeah, he looks. I think he looks bigger. I think he might
Yeah,
be bigger. He might be walking 170 something. This kind
yeah,
of reminds me of Crawford. Kind of reminds me of fuck, what was his name? He fought like Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns. You know,
yeah.
and he was like very very tall for and bigger for the weight classes where he started at. You know, and
Mhm.
he had like nasty power, but as he went up in weight, he looked less and less spectacular. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean the argument everybody's making that's like going against Crawford, you could say, is that he was going on a nasty knockout streak until he went to 154 and fought Madrimov. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the power is definitely going to be what it is, which is 1 to 2, probably closer to 2 weight class difference in power. I think Canelo's when he lands, it's obviously going to do a lot more than when Crawford lands. But I think I think Crawford said it's those punches that you don't see coming that hurt, and Canelo agreed. And I think I think he's gonna be slightly more precise, not like punch after punch. I think Canelo's more overall um, lands more effectively punch after punch, but I think uh, those few shots that Crawford lands are gonna look more pinpoint precise than what Canelo does. If that makes any sense, he's gonna have like
Uh,
those sniper like snappy punches versus Canelo's gonna land those more traditional like Mexican boxer type punches.
yeah. So let's not have a pick because it's too early, but let's think about this. Let's see how you see each of those fighters win and what adjustments you think they need to make to win.
It's tough. I honestly think both guys are just kind of come in and fight how they usually fight, which is Canelo's going to be pushing forward, high guard, head movement combinations, trying to bully Crawford, and I think Crawford's going to try his best to stand his ground, which he usually does pretty well. Um, a lot of head movement as well, and a lot of combinations, a lot of switch stances. I think he's going to mix it up round after round like he usually does, like southpaw, orthodox. And I think that's going to be probably Crawford's one advantage over Canelo is his ability to switch stances and kind of give Canelo two different looks. Because obviously, if Canelo's got one game plan, which is what he usually does, that's obviously going to be detrimental to when Crawford's switching stances because it's he's not going to be able to do the same type of game plan on two different stances. I think, in my opinion, but who knows? Canelo's experience, he's fought both stances. He did have trouble against Lara, who I think was a southpaw, right?
He did.
Yeah, so I think Crawford's looking at that like, maybe I should just trick the hell out of him and just start going back and forth every round. And I think that's gonna make this fight sick to watch because that I love watching Crawford switch stances because it just looks so effortless.
Yeah, leading up in the press conferences and interviews, that's what Crawford's been saying, that that Canelo's had issues with movers and that he doesn't. Everybody asks like, "Oh, do you think you can hurt Canelo?" He's always like, "Oh, I don't need to hurt him. I just need to beat him." So you think he's already thinking about him boxing and just winning by points, or because Crawford, he has a little bit of a mean streak in him. He's the type of guy that he'll try to go for the finish.
Yeah,
You think you'll see him trying to go for the finish, or you think he'll be, for the most part, boxing?
I think he's just gonna box because like even when he gets those knockouts, it never looks like he's just he's like loading up, going for like crazy stupid shit. Like it looks like he's just boxing, and then he'll just catch people like when they don't see it coming. Like he does that time after time. It's like some crazy hook that no one sees coming. Not crazy hook, but just like some stupid accurate left hook that just lands super flush, and he's not like trying to knock them out. It just happens. And I think that's gonna happen. He's gonna catch Canelo, but Canelo's chin is just granite. I don't see Canelo getting wobbled at all. Um, I could see it kind of being like the Bivol fight where he gets hit a lot, and it does enough to where Canelo can't enter as freely as he would like, and it keeps him off, keeps that range between them. So I could see that happening. Um, but I could see Crawford getting, a little bit hurt if Canelo lands. Like I don't know how hurt. Like we've seen him hurt before. But I could definitely see Canelo landing something, maybe like a body shot or something up top, something tricky. And I could see Crawford just a little wobbly, but nothing crazy. But I do
Like
see
Kevin,
Crawford just straight up trying to box.
yeah, like when he fought Cav Velasquez or whatever, that one guy that
Yeah,
he got hurt.
yeah, I could see
In that
that.
fight, yeah, in that fight he was trying to like go blow for blow, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think that would serve Crawford any advantage to try to do that against Canelo, who's bigger, more experienced, can easily trade inside with no problems. Like that would just be foolish. Because like when you saw, um, who's that guy? The black dude that fought Canelo, who just Danny Jacobs. You saw Danny Jacobs try to throw combinations against Canelo, and he just looks stupid. I don't think Crawford should do that. I think Crawford should just try to outbox him, just stick and move. Don't try to sit there and throw. I mean, Crawford's got crazy, ridiculous combination punching, but I don't think he should do that with Canelo, especially when Canelo's got all the power behind him.
So now on the reverse side, what do you think Canelo needs to do to win, or if he needs to make an adjustment or whatever? Because I personally think he does need to make an adjustment. I want to hear you.
I think Canelo's gotta he's gotta stick it on him. He can't let because like I said, Crawford's gotta just box, box, move, box. But I think he's gotta learn what he did wrong against Bivol. He's gotta be able to cut Crawford off. He's gotta get in close. He's gotta land heavy shots. If he's not landing heavy shots, Crawford's not gonna respect him, and he's just gonna keep sticking and moving. But I think if Canelo lands some big shots, Crawford's gonna slow down quite a bit and then have his hands up, um, brace for more punches. Maybe less head movement because he's like so worried, and he'll have his hands up in a high guard type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what Canelo has to do is he's got to make it more of a dirty fight. And that's not really like what you see from Canelo. Canelo's usually like a pretty clean, crisp puncher, but I think he's got to make this slightly more of a dirty fight, and not fall into Crawford's game. Like when he fought like Triple G, I feel like he tried to just go like skill for skill against Triple G. Whereas I think in this fight, if he tries to go skill for skill with Crawford, it's not going to look as appealing to the judges.
Yeah, what I think that Canelo needs to do, like when he fought Charlo, right? Charlo was coming up from 154, and Canelo beat him easy, but I feel like Canelo could have stopped him if he like went from throwing single shots to like mixing it up to combinations, you know, like 3, 4, 5 punch combinations, and then mixing in like a big punch, you know?
Yeah,
I feel
for
like that's what
sure.
he needs to do against Crawford, especially in between combinations.
Yeah.
Because Canelo, he's gonna be able to eat the power.
Oh
And
yeah.
if Crawford's gonna try to stick and move, you're gonna have to catch him in between combinations. You're gonna eat the punch, but you're gonna get more value if you're Canelo out of compared to Crawford that way.
100%. Yeah, I think it really comes down to those big punches from Canelo. Like if he's able to land something big, I think that really shakes Crawford's whole mindset going into the fight. Because if Canelo makes it dirty, Crawford has no choice but to just start fighting. Not like sloppy, but he's gonna have to fight. He's gonna have to go blow for blow because if Canelo's landing, the only way he's gonna push Canelo back is with big shots. Because we've seen Canelo like if you're not able to hit Canelo, he'll just keep coming. But that's one thing Bivol did good was Bivol was landing on Canelo, and that really discouraged Canelo, and then kind of made Canelo kind of fall off on the game plan. It was a little bit sloppier.
And Bivol has he has the best 1-2 in the whole game, like
Hmm.
sharpest, fastest, like Crawford is great, but he doesn't have that same 1-2.
Yeah,
To
that's
keep
true.
Canelo away like that.
Yeah, man, this is tricky because I feel like Crawford's one of his better punches is like a overhand like hook, if you know what I mean. It's like a
Yeah,
it's like a wide hook, but it's so good. Like it just wraps around and catches guys right across the chin. And I feel like that's his best punch, but I don't see that landing very easily on Canelo because Canelo's head movement and he keeps his hands up pretty well. So I think so. Yeah, Canelo's got to stay inside to avoid that range because when Crawford lands that shit and moves around, ooh, it's the long night.
you think there's a potential chance for a rematch?
Uh, I think it's gonna be such a good fight. They'll probably run it back twice. I think it's gonna go to the decision. I think it's gonna be like 116, 112, 115, 113 type thing. Maybe split decision, or even if it's unanimous, it's gonna be within 2 points. And they'll probably run it back if they. I think, especially if Crawford wins. If Crawford wins, they 100% run it back. If Canelo wins, I could see Canelo being like, I mean, I already beat him. There's really nothing for me to fight him again, unless the fans really want it. But because Canelo doesn't really like. I feel like he doesn't really do rematches unless like it's like extremely, extremely wanted. Because even with like Bivol, he didn't do the rematch. He did lose, but like, yeah, he doesn't really do very many rematches. So I don't know, because he's got so many fights outside of this one he could take. Like, it's not really him wanting to take fights. It's like 10 guys wanting to fight Canelo. So Canelo's just like, all right, who's next? Who's next?
Right, right, right. Well, let's move away from boxers and go to clowns now. Let's go talk about Jake Paul versus Chavez
Ah,
Jr. real quick.
I didn't even. Did you watch this fight? I didn't even watch it.
No, I didn't, but it was around the same time that Topuria won. That I checked and it said that Jake Paul was winning in the rounds. I mean, yeah, Cesar Chavez, he was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He was a champion at one point. I think he was a mediocre champion. We all know he has hella coke problems. I don't even know of how he came in going into this fight, but still, like, you think this is definitely Jake Paul's most legitimate win. What are your thoughts on it overall?
I mean, I don't know. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Like, give me a break, dude. This guy, this guy's not even a boxer at this point. He's just there for the money. Like, I don't really get this fight at all. It was kind of pointless. That's why I didn't watch it. But
Yeah, he's more of a cokehead for sure, and he lost to Anderson Silva, so you can't. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like, I've seen a couple of his fights, and he's just not it. Like, it doesn't look like he has any urge to fight. It doesn't look like he wants to be there. It even like his dad. I see his dad in the crowd, and his dad just. I don't know if you saw that one fight. His dad just was like shaking his head, like disgusted. He's like, "What is this shit?" He looks so
I'm
pissed
pretty sure this
off.
is like the fifth time he gets disowned by his dad.
Yeah, like oh my goodness. I mean, at least props to him though. Like even though it doesn't seem like he wants to be there. He's still making a bag. Like he's not even a boxer at this point, and he's still making hella money.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I didn't watch it, but I watched like the little YouTube highlights that the Zone puts out. And
Yeah,
Julio Cesar Chavez, it looked like he threw three punches the whole fight. Like he didn't
yeah.
even try.
Sounds about right. I saw one of his fights, dude. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. It looked like he literally didn't want to be there. I was like, Jesus. And at one point he was like coming up, like kind of a big name, and then he just fell off.
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't really his name; it was his dad's name, but
that's true.
but oh my god! So I'm looking at this. I see Floyd Schofield versus Tevin Farmer, first round knockout.
Oh
Damn,
yeah,
that's
saw that.
crazy.
Yeah,
I remember when Tevin Farmer was, pretty big, not up and comer, but pretty big name, just like pretty good fighter. That's crazy.
yeah. I think he was like a lineal champ at one point.
Yeah,
At 130.
that's tough. And then did you see
What do you
this
think
Holly
about
Holm? I can't
Oh
believe that.
yeah,
100 to
what
not.
happened?
She won every round on every scorecard. That's
Who's that
crazy.
lady she fought though?
I don't know. I'm not sure who that is. Look it up.
Yeah, what the hell is Holly Holm doing MMA? Go back to boxing with Jake Paul Promotions. Make way more money.
I think she just retired from UFC and is like, well, I could probably make a quick bag in boxing and probably win pretty easily because apparently she was like a Hall of Fame boxer or something.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. She doesn't
Dang.
even look like she boxes. Like, well,
Yeah.
not to be disrespectful, but
Yeah. No, I know
yeah,
what you mean. She was more of like a kicker too, like kickboxer. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, she had like a whole professional boxing career and then I think she might have had some kickboxing and then she went to UFC. But yeah, I mean, that's interesting if she actually becomes like a real contender and fought like I don't know who she would fight. I don't know what her weight class is, but if she actually became like a champion, that'd be crazy. I doubt it,
she's a
but
big gal.
yeah, she is. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how deep the divisions are in women's boxing, but maybe she could. Maybe she just does super
Pretty
fights.
shallow.
Like if she
She
just
should
fought like
fight. But
no, you're good.
no, she should fight Clarissa Shields in boxing one and MMA in another. Do like a little one in one.
Oh man, that would be sick. Clarissa would probably knock her ass out in boxing. They go to MMA. Holly Holm just kicks her fucking head off. That'd be some big time money. They would make a lot of money.
Yeah. Hey, give us a little credit when you guys make those fights.
Yeah, they're gonna have to send us some residuals there.
Yeah, we still haven't got the check from the lawyers from the Henry and Usman. Yeah,
Yeah, what's up with that? God damn. They're not even pound for pound anymore. They should take that off their name.
right.
Speaking of pound for pound, wow, they removed John Jones. That's funny. Obviously because he retired, but they were quick to do that. So they got Islam at 1, Narab at 2, Illy at 3, DDP at 4.
They have
How is
Marab at two.
bro? How is Pantoja? This better not be updated. If this is updated, this is so. I think it is updated. This is so disrespectful. Pantoja at 9. Like they have JDM, Volk, and Magomed Ankalaev ranked ahead. Volk,
Yeah, they should not.
no, I mean Volk is
Should
better
not be.
than Magomed and Madaleno because he's um
You
obviously
should be
he's
above Pereira too.
yeah 100% he should be above Pereira. Definitely Tom. Tom hasn't even won the real belt yet. JDM
Yeah, people
just
that
won
don't
the
have
belt.
belts on there. Yeah, people that don't have belts on there should not be on there.
Yeah,
At least not the top five.
for real. I mean, Charles Oliveira is 13. Like, what the hell? That's yeah. I don't understand it. These rankings are so bad. I would take Islam at 1. That's fair. Rob at 2. Okay, whatever. Ilya at 3. That's yeah. Those top. They should definitely be those three top three for sure. And then Pantoja. It's not even. He should be number 4. I mean, yes, DDP's good, but I think Pantoja has more defenses. He's beat some pretty good guys, and I mean, I guess DDP is good, sure, but I don't think he's as good as Pantoja.
Yeah,
Pound for
for
pound
sure.
wise, like skill wise, Pantoja, it's he looks like two different fighters. DDP just DDP is good. Yeah, he finds ways to win, but you can tell like just visually, Pantoja looks way more skillful.
Yeah.
And then
If there was like a category for whose style looks the worst, DDP would be number one.
yeah, dude. Oh my god, he just looks so bad. It's I don't. It's funny though because he low key. I think he beats Shamayo.
Oh, he's a beast. Don't get me wrong, but it's just so
Yeah,
ugly.
it's so ugly. And then
Hey, but God bless him.
Magomed at 5. That's crazy, bro. Volk should be ahead of Magomed.
He's had like
Uh,
one fight in 3 years.
yeah, bro. And he just won the belt. Volk's won the belt, defended it, beat pound for pound guys like Volk's done way more. Um, JDM at 7 over Tom even is even crazy. Yes, I guess he does have the belt, but like I don't know. I feel like Tom's if you shrunk Tom down into a welterweight, he'd destroy JDM. Like that again, even there, like the skill gap, I feel like Tom is a better fighter than JDM. I mean, I guess yeah, JDM is good, but I don't know. He just won the belt. I feel like Tom's had some pretty. I mean, look at Tom's record. Like first round finish, second round finish, first. Like god damn,
Yeah.
that's a
Is
crazy
that more
record.
fun? Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting. I don't know who makes these rankings, but I don't know. It's just kind of whack.
Yeah, fire them immediately.
Seriously, dude. Fuck. God. Like, come on. That actually pisses me off. Pantoja number 9, bro. After 4 title defenses, 5 title fights. Um, yeah, man. That's and he's literally beat like everybody in that division, almost. He beat. He already beat Manel Cop. He beat Royval. He beat Moreno. He beat Royval again. He beat Urseg, Asakura. He beat 2 Kais in one division. Kai Asakura and Kai Kara-France.
He's lapping them.
Yeah, that's that's a lot more than like these guys in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'd put Behero over JDM and Volk still.
Yeah, for the shit he's done, I could see that.
Yeah, like man, I don't know. These rankings, I don't know. I wish they would like put like little notes in what like their thoughts behind it or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that's pretty much it. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was
The
fire.
return, the return of the real pound for pound.
We need to have Islam versus Topuria though. Let's manifest that. That's the fight that has to happen at some point, whether it's next year or 2 years from now.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
That would be for the pound for pound number 1 spot too. If we're gonna talk about pound for pound, that would be sick.
That would be sick. Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but that's 100% true.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a good one. That was UFC 317, Canelo versus Crawford, and we're not even gonna mention the other guys. But Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and the guy who won't be named. Just kidding. But yeah, I'm excited to hopefully cover this Crawford versus Canelo fight in the future. We'll definitely drop another podcast maybe before that fight takes place. We'll do like a full breakdown, full predictions, and probably cover some more UFC fights. So until next time, uh, yeah, thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. Pound for Pound Combat Sports Podcast. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.